Yeah, Frank mentions it could be dirty mains, especially if it's not bang on at 60 hertz. I know he checked the voltages and they were very close to the 5 volts. They're supposed to be in the right spot. So, but like Ken mentioned, it works fine ever since he left CoCoVest in the hotel show floor area. So I'm suspecting, especially with all the construction and crap they had going on, it's probably.
Well, I had a piece of hardware that did die permanently at that CoCoFest, and it was probably power. So I wasn't surprised at all that that's all that's wrong with this is it was at that fest.
We lost YouTube again.
Oh, man.
Yep, looks like we did.
Yeah, streams.
Although it's slowly coming back.
Voltages and they were very close to the 5 volts. They're supposed to be in the right spot. So, but like Ken. Okay, is it back?
We came back quick that time.
Okay, it's back to green.
Okay, is it okay? You guys can hear us out in chat land, I hope. Sounds like we had another interruption.
Yeah, it looks like it's back to stable-ish, kind of.
Stable-ish. It's
a stable-ish, kind of.
Yeah, it's
probably stable-ish.
Frames.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is still.
This is the 7th time a charm, I think.
Well,
you said you're still dropping frames. Like, is it still stabilizing?
Yeah,
shall we?
No, it's go. As soon as I say something, it does something. Go for it. just go ahead and go for it.
That's that really instills confidence.
Yeah.
It looks like it's stable again.
Okay, next story up, and hopefully you guys can actually hear it. This is Z80 Dad on YouTube or Septandi. He shows a homebrew 6809 base board he made, and he uses it to speed test 6809 versus some other CPUs from the time period, like the 8080 and the Z80. Now, this is not strictly Coca related, so I don't know why Kite labeled as Septandi, but I'm kind of glad he did because it's kind of cool anyway. And he's doing an ASCII Mandelbrot foot race between these various machines, and basically it just has an 80 column color terminal like a VT100 or something, and he's just jamming the stuff out the serial port. So obviously the other machines are kind of doing the same baud rate type thing, so it'd be similar. And this is of course a basic written by Microsoft, so it depends on how well they did the basic interpreter for each CPU. There's a few things in there, but he was a bit surprised by the results. And here's this little minimal expansion computer here with the ROMs and RAM and basically the board itself that he created. Here's the actual source code listing for it. And this is what it looks like running. So I'll just mute him for a brief second here. But it kind of does it changes the characters itself to kind of do ASCII graphics type thing to kind of simulate pixel density as well as the color. I've done one of these Mandelbrot things actually in Basic 9. It's up on my channel, comparing speeds between 689 and 639. So I'm a bit familiar with this, but it takes a while to generate. So anyway, he at basically the end of the result here. Now he's running his machine. He's got a 68B09, not a 6309. So it's a 2 megahertz rate chip. He's actually running it about 1.8, about the same as the Coco 3. He's not running it at the flat out 2 megahertz. But he compares it in this chart here with how it did versus some other machines at that time period. And there's some Z80s here at 4 megahertz. There's a V20. That was a NEC clone of the 8088, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then the V30 was the clone of the 8086. Am I remembering?
Yep, that is correct, as I recall.
And I think the V20 actually was a little bit optimized compared to.
It also could run at like 8 megahertz or something more than.
Yeah, it had some turbo mode thing built into it.
Yeah. Which was
and then
cool.
He's got his machine running at 1.8432 megahertz at the top of the 6809. And the 6809 out of these 4 machines is the fastest because the shorter bars are better. Which actually is a bit of a surprise because the other ones are all running at 4 megahertz. Now I do know that the cycle times in some of those is pretty bad, but I also thought that the 8080 and Z80 would have had better optimized Microsoft Basics than ours, because from what I understand, ours was basically just almost a port through the little interpreter converter thingy. But it actually did pretty good. I mean, we're running at less than half the CPU speed, and we beat them all. But that was kind of cool.
I think it's the efficiency of the Motorola / MOS opcodes versus the Intel styled.
Yeah. And I will say the 609 is a fair bit faster again. If you want to check that out, you can check my YouTube page. I've got a couple of videos there showing that, though I'm using colored squares rather than ASCII. I think I did 40 column, but. Okay, next up I have that. I'm definitely not playing this whole thing because it's an hour and 20 minutes, and it's by Pedro Pena, who might still be in the chat. I know he said he had to go somewhere, but he's still on there. For you hardware guys that have actually watched this all the way through, you can probably explain this a lot better than I am. And this is only part one. There's a part two coming. So basically, he's showing how to take his original surface mount 64K SRAM board he did previously for the late model CoCo 2s. Now, those of you who've seen them, like most CoCo 1s and 2s, if you want to upgrade the RAM 64K, you basically upgrade 8 chips, 4164s. The later CoCo 2s had the option of doing that, or they could do a little daughter board or direct sockets for 4464s, which is 4 bits wide versus 1 bit. And that was then because at that time there was I think there was a fire in Japan or something where a whole RAM factory went down for months. So prices went nuts, and Tandy kind of hedged their bets by making several ways. So whatever chips were available at the time, you could do it 4164s or 4464s. So basically he's made a static RAM version of that. And now he's converting it to a through-hole version of it. And he's released the public files. You can download this if you want to make it yourself. And this is going into hardware way beyond my pay grade. So if you of you hardware gurus want to kind of jump in, feel free.
Also, those 4464s are used in the CoCo 3s and the 128K. So, when you upgrade, keep those 4464s because you might be able to trickle them down to a CoCo 2.
Yep. Or sell them to a CoCo 2 owner that wants to get them.
Yep.
And this is in KiCad, I think. Isn't that what this is called?
Yep.
Pronounced KiCad. Even though it's spelled KiCad, it's pronounced KiCad.
Okay.
Cat. Meow.
I've seen a presenter at the KiCad conference use both pronunciations in the same talk. So,
Well, I was using the reference by the head project maintainer at CERN. So,
anyway, here's kind of his little cardboard layout just to make sure that everything lines up properly, et cetera, to do. And anyway, he put that up with the entire thing. And basically, it's almost a tutorial on using KiCad, whatever you want to call it, for doing a project like this. It goes into a ton of details I don't even understand, frankly, because I'm not a hardware guy. But has any of you got a chance to watch this video? Just out of curiosity, Mark or Rick or any other hardware?
No, I'm going to need to, though.
nope. Me too. I hadn't been keeping track on it, but yeah, I definitely need to watch it now.
all right.
Okay, because he's actually got the
Oh, and warning to the world, Windows 11 doesn't print it the right size. So you can't do his trick of print it out and cut it and fit it down.
oh, that's something good to know.
Yeah, it doesn't get the size right. It's like 10% off. So I have to plot rather than print the file, which is a disaster because you have to switch from Gerber mode to PostScript mode and so I'm irritated right now with Windows 11.
What was that last part? Blee, 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 blee.
Yeah. That's technical terms.
Yeah. I think that's the name of the program who did Windows 11, actually.
It could be. The menu bug reverted again where you can't right click and open. You can't right click open with. You have to go right click open with, choose another program, and then you can fix the default program and that will work.
Yeah.
They fix it, it breaks again. They fix it, it breaks again. This is about the 5th time.
Yeah. Now, I will mention here, I mean, one, this is meant to be a 64K, but the fact that it's using static RAM, if I remember correctly, and some of you people that are more familiar with this might be able to tell me for sure, but I do believe the SAM doubler, which I think Brendan's doing, or at least his design, I think Ed's going to manufacture it for him, but basically it's a way to do a full double speed clock in a CoCo 1 and 2, RAM and ROM, because normally you lose the RAM refresh and a bunch of other things. But because it's a static RAM, it doesn't need the cycle to do dynamic RAM refresh. I think the clock doubler requires an SRAM upgrade. So this, if you want to make it yourself based on these files, and you put it into a CoCo 2 that can support it, you should be able to just get the SAM doubler, and then you can run full POC 65497,0 double speed RAM and ROM without losing the video signal and without basically running at the speed the CoCo 3 runs at.
Nice.
Anyway, links to all these are in the show notes that you can grab off of our Discord too. So this was an interesting one I found totally by accident. It's not a Septandy thing, though it could be.
A blacksmith shop?
Well, basically, this is a trash, not trash 80, but a basement junk removal. And basically, this is a guy that has a company that does trash remove people. So if people are excavating a basement on an old house they just bought and it's got filled with crap, which is what happened here. This is a dirt basement. It's not even cemented walls, and everything else is dirt floors and things on it. And there's basically decades of stuff stored in here. There's old light switches, and there's old electronics, and there's old boards and screwdriver sets and locks for old doors and all kinds of stuff. So basically what they do is they go through and they clean all this stuff out. And then the one guy that makes the videos is a bit of a tech head, and he occasionally finds old tech that he finds interesting. And he'll actually keep it, sometimes even for himself, but most of the time he keeps it and then sells it on eBay, because basically he gets to keep, when he does these, he charges a flat rate for depending on how long it took to do the job to empty thing out. And then he'll try to sell stuff on eBay, and it's kind of like a tip for himself, as long as the person's he agrees to it, type thing, because he takes the time to go through to figure out what's worth anything and what's not. So I won't play the beginning part where they start here, but the house is kind of you can see this basement. Here's kind of a bit of a mess. This is already after they cleaned out a good chunk of it. Like, this is near the end of it. But I'll play this little bit where he discovers something, and then you can see his reaction.
James, do me one little favor. Grab that keyboard looking thing down there. What is that, a computer, or is that a... Oh my gosh, it's the old Radio Shack.
Oh, Radio Shack out of business. I think there's one left.
No, but this is a
Ram badge. Old.
a TRS
First
80.
one.
Warranty seal broken?
Yeah.
Look at that wind up of
TRS 80 Radio Shack.
Make sure we
That's
don't
awesome. Mark, can you
Factory
that
wind
box,
up
that
there.
metal box, and show me the front of it real quick?
just try.
With the control.
Controller.
So what we got here? We got a Radio Shack.
And that's the
floppy
first gen
drive.
35 track
Yeah, the
tech
first
drive
one,
with the
yes.
push button open door.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll take that too. Yep, I'll take that too.
Must be a 3022.
Gimme.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll bet you
I
it fires
completed
right
the
up.
Google
No.
certificate to help build my skills.
And then
Actually,
he
he doesn't actually try it, because this is one he did. He wasn't going to keep himself. He's planning on selling it. So I'm going to fast forward once this stupid ad is done.
I like that AC cord. Looks like the factory wrap on it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and the fact that the warranty sticker was completely punched through already meant whoever had this originally was definitely a bit of a hardware tinkerer.
it's a first person here.
The Ram.
Yeah, he's actually got they showed a picture of him elsewhere. Where he actually has like the helmet camera mount for doing this, and I guess he does these videos all the time. But I'm going to fast forward. He actually goes through a summary of the stuff he decided to keep, or did I keep that? Oh, maybe I already have that on the screen here. Yeah, here. This is the stuff he decided to try to sell off.
All right, everybody, we're back from that clean out.
the power
and these
meter
are
that
some
should
of
have been on the
treasures
house.
that we decided to keep. So first off, we got a TRS 80.
How much RAM does that say?
From Radio Shack. Those are
32K.
selling for about $60.
Oh,
Plus
okay.
It's probably an
handling.
e-board.
And that's untested. And that's how I would sell this stuff, because I have no way to test them. This
Well,
little
maybe
computer thing
upgrade
here
it,
with the,
and
with the cord.
When you get an upgrade, do you get a new badge?
Catalog 26-3022.
Maybe that's
is
been
selling for
upgraded.
currently $30
But,
plus shipping.
well,
and
you could have
handling.
bought it as 32K, or you could have got it upgraded. My friend Dwayne got his
This
upgrade and got the
drive that goes with
32K
it
badge.
is selling for $64. Shipping and handling, again, that's untested. This here, I wasn't sure if you could even sell these, but apparently you can.
I don't know if you guys want to see the other stuff he
Single
decided to
stage
try to sell.
watt
He's got some
mount,
pretty cool stuff there
Hour
too.
meter, the i30-S.
But considering the show's running
sells
long,
from
probably
30
not.
to 60, but
Yeah.
it is free
Probably should
shipping,
move
so
on.
I would
Asparagus.
probably put-
Yeah. I think he found some pretty cool stuff in there anyway. That'd be a fascinating job to have, because I'm sure you find just cool stuff every once in a while. Most of the time it's probably just really junk, but you find something like an e-board Coco and the original floppy drive, the original floppy controller that can be upgraded to high density. And basically it's just free as part of cleaning up. You get to keep, and because most stuff just goes to the junkyard on some of the metal stuff. He was going through, like, he was sorting like copper versus tin versus whatever for, certain metal recycling plants and stuff too. Because you get some money in bulk for metal.
Oh, look, an Apple One. Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he's been that lucky or not, but next up, Todd Wallace, also known as Lord Dragon, is basically working on a machine language windowing thing. Now, actually, in the comments, I won't show it because we've showed this before when Hugo was doing it years ago, because he was doing a whole thing with overlay windows and stuff too. But this is Todd's version where he's kind of using a Mac style font, and he's actually got a little bit of GUI he's working on. He's got the mouse working, and you can move the window around.
Hey guys, I just wanted to show you my progress on my little window manager thing. It is.
He probably uses
kind
the
of
high-res
alive.
mouse too,
Got
because
a
he's
mouse
used it
pointer,
before.
moves around, and check it out.
The software one.
Yeah, I'll put this window down here. Nah, let's move it up. Nah, put it back where it was. Ah, that is so cool to be dragging a window around. And I hopefully put enough structure in place to
That looks nice.
do more than just this. But that is just so cool. Look at this. I'm kind of proud. Work in progress.
I mean, that is cool. I mean, he's done a lot of really cool things. He did the weather reporting app with graphics and everything else, and he's done the IBM font and some MS-DOS utilities on the Coco and all kinds of things. So
even he doesn't have a CM8 door.
Nobody does, Ron. I'm sure that's a vicious rumor. You guys just Photoshop the damn things in all the time.
I got 3 of them.
Hey, you're the Photoshop guy, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's just kind of proof. Everybody who's really good with Photoshop seems to have the door. Coincidence? I think not.
Jeez.
Next up on Vintage is the New Old. Paulo Garcia contributed to this, where he's duplicated, as far as he can remember, a high-res text generating basic program that he originally did. And speaking, we talked about this earlier when Frank was on, of the CP400, which is a Brazilian Coco clone. So he'd written something in BASIC that would draw text characters on the screen type thing on a graphics screen. And he's actually tried to do it from memory, kind of remembering how it worked. Try to duplicate the program itself.
That's an awful lot to remember.
And it's designed for the P-Mode 3 screen, not a P-Mode 4, so you can
color.
Do some color. So I thought that was kind of neat. I mean, having to go back and try to remember something you wrote literally 40 years ago, almost 38. That's pretty impressive because I don't remember anything from yesterday.
Hello world. That's pretty good, isn't it? Come on.
I mean, honestly, when I got back into Nitrous 9 and I was looking at some of the code, and it even has my remarks, of what I did, I didn't remember writing some of that stuff at all. Not a clue. I had no idea what I was doing.
So you're looking at it thinking, who'd I get this from?
Well, well, yeah, maybe I did. I honestly don't remember that either. So did I steal it from somebody or did I figure it out on my own? I don't remember. There's other chunks I do remember. I remember, almost to the day, because it was something I was really proud of. But there's other stuff I was going, I don't remember doing this at all. I thought Bill did this.
Look at the ad in the corner there for the dust cover.
Yeah, for the Model 1.
That's a good one too.
Ron, I'll let you set this one up because you're the one who discovered it.
Yeah, I got it from some vintage computer site, and I'll be browsing around looking, and if something comes up like this, I figure, well, there's always a chance that there'll be Tandy stuff in there. Run it.
Yeah. So just to set it up a little bit beyond that, this is a little news segment from the local news station in Albuquerque, New Mexico, about a retro computer gathering that they have there once a year. And
it's new.
Yeah, just published on the 10th of September.
Machines from decades past and think
I don't know if this is going to work.
Garbage, but for one retro
are you guys seeing the screen still? Or did it disappear?
Yeah, I can see
fixing them up is a passion.
Okay.
Scarlett Lizjack takes
sometimes
us inside a
maximize
public
it.
meetup today
It does
in
full screen. It
Albuquerque.
doesn't work.
There were dozens of
I'll play the
old
whole thing here, but there's a
computers
Coco
at the
involved.
Q
See if you can
Lab
spot it.
Makerspace, both Apples and PCs. And these machines really paint the picture of how much technology has advanced.
Iced tea, wet
But these
lips.
computers also brought together a crowd of people who are passionate about vintage technology.
This surf the web.
No.
Do you ever wish you could travel back in time?
While
this may not be time travel, ABQ Retro
Right there.
Computers public meetup
4P.
is a step back in time.
Just get together.
Not
and
a
kinda share
Coco, though.
passion
No,
on,
but it's 4P.
fixing up these old
Yeah.
computers and getting them, up so everybody can use them.
Machines from the 90s, 80s, and even the 70s.
They aren't making them anymore. And most of them have ended up in the trash at this point. So as much awareness as we can get, maybe somebody could save one from the trash and it can end up being
There's
reused
4P
again
in the back.
instead of, just rotting away.
And if you're thinking about surfing the modern web, you're out of luck. There's not even dial-up on these computers.
Admittedly, in your
4P.
everyday life, it can be kind of hard to actually find a use for some of these old machines.
Yeah, you could.
So this gives us
If
an
you still have
opportunity
copper
to kind of unpack
telephone
them
lines.
and play around with them.
But
Time
it's
to
their
guess.
simplicity that fuels Joan's passion.
I've never successfully opened a modern cell phone, but one of these, you can take 4 screws off of this, open it up. It's generally pretty clear what's wrong with them. Components can be
There it
replaced
is.
The Coco.
and things
Upside
like that,
down.
so that
Oh.
Oh, ouch,
user-friendly.
ouch.
Some of these computers can take several
Oh,
years
right to the
restore.
Mylar.
There are some computers
Yep.
we've come across
Ouch.
that have sat outside
It
for
doesn't
over
matter
a
what else she
decade
has to
and have
say
turned
now,
on
does it?
simply by plugging
Amateur.
it in. The next public meetup will be sometime in March.
So if you're in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, it sounds like their next public meetup for this type of thing for the retro computers of all sorts is sometime in March. So I don't know.
Wait. There's a New Mexico?
It's like New Coke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's just down the road from Ron, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, pretty.
Closer to me than any of you.
So is that something you'd consider going to report for us, Ron?
Yeah,
That'd be
let's
kind of
do that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for it. I mean, they've got the name of the group and stuff, so you can actually go check it out. But yeah, in March. So it's a month before Coco Fest. You can kind of bring a report to us at Coco Fest in April.
Right.
But don't take your cocoa. It'll get wrecked.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't let them touch it anyway. Just
Yeah, jeez.
hold on
Did
it
you
for
see
dear
that-
life and
Did
display
you see
it.
that keyboard hanging? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, that was painful to watch.
very much so.
The only worst thing I've ever seen is putting a multi-pack into a multi-pack.
And it worked.
It's that or holding on to a soldering iron the wrong way.
That old
Oh,
stock
right.
footage again. Yes. No.
Yeah.
No.
Frank, our guest from earlier, says, I've opened my iPhone twice successfully. Both times I fell down the stairs and magically opened.
And that's one way to do it.
That sounds like the school of how to fix the Coco we just saw there, actually. Same techniques. Next up, Todd Horsch. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly there. So he posted the tale of him getting back into his Coco 3 after catching some retro computer videos on YouTube, and the trials he had to get it working with some upgrades that he was doing in the Facebook group. And I won't read the whole thing here, but he ordered a 609, a 512K memory upgrade, a Coco SDC, RGB to HDMI, and he had some issues trying to get it to work. And then it quit working because it was working originally.
Oh,
But
internet's dropping off again.
Okay. So
Okay.
we'll
All
hold
right.
off.
We're back.
Okay.
So what do you get, like a flashing light or something when that thing drops?
Yeah, OBS
Yeah.
goes into the red if the
Oh,
Yeah.
traffic's
okay.
gone down to crap.
all right.
Probably was just a little hiccup for everybody watching. So anyway, he goes into the tale of what he did to figure it out, got it working again. So now he's going to tackle the FD501, but it's a cautionary tale, I guess, is what I would say. And he's got the CoCoTALK cartridge, and I think it might actually be Frank's. They used to help test some of this stuff to figure out what's going on. So. And next up, this is something we don't see. Activity in the MM1 forum on Facebook. Now, we've had somebody that came on to Discord. He's also on Facebook. We'll cover something with him a little bit later here. But Joel Evie posted the story of getting his MM1 in the MM1 Facebook group, which we're looking at right now. Now he was one, and I remember he was on the list because Bill and I had to send drivers out to everybody who bought a TC9 from Frank Hogg because we were doing the updated version 2 drivers for the keyboard, the mouse, the joystick, sound, and a few other things too. And he was on the list that we sent him to. So he was originally planning on getting the K bus and getting the TC70 to add on and do the whole, super system. And I guess he went to go try to buy one of the TC70s from Frank. And Frank said, basically, call back later. I don't have any right now. So then he decided, well, I don't want to, like we were talking about earlier, like people don't want to wait. So he decided, well, I'll go talk to Blackhawk Enterprise and see if I can get an MM1. Now, they're Blackhawk, that's almost MM1A level stuff, but I can't remember if this specifically was or not. But also that was, David Graham said he was out of those as well. He had the CPU board in stock, but if you want the expanded system with the IO and memory backplanes, you can upgrade the memory up to 9 megs and get a bunch of extra stuff that you could use on it. He said he had the boards, but he didn't have somebody to actually solder them all together and put them in. So basically what Joel had eventually decided, you know what, I could try to do the soldering and stuff myself. So he actually goes through and got a couple stacks of boards, and then he got stuff up and running. But he was actually talking to one of the people that did the original designs and stuff, and he actually posted the original emails of the back and forth of trying to figure out what was wrong on the boards that he had and how to fix them and stuff. So it's a bit of a history of the MM1 that a lot of us have not seen in the past. So I won't read all those here. It's definitely worth checking out, though. There's an actual MM1 Multimedia One Computer forum on Facebook. And I know a few people on the show actually do have M1s. David Ladd has one, for example. Though his hard drive's dead, I believe his floppy drive still works, so you can actually still boot it.
Of course.
Naturally.
Yeah. if it's floppies, Dave doesn't know how to fix it, I guess, and then the hard drive's a bit harder. But the M1, out of all of the Coco 4s that we talked about, as far as commercially success goes, it was definitely the most successful of the batch. It sold. I'm trying to remember because people were trying to guess. Like one guy, and the person that we're talking about the next article here too, he's got one in pretty rough shape, but he thought there was only 8 or 9 sold. And Alan Huffman responded, said there used to be more than 8 or 9 of us just meeting in a hotel room at Coco Fest that all had MM1s. And we had Eric Krishlow, obviously, who did some development for the MM1 as an interview guest not too long ago either. He did the Gold Runner 2000 for the MM1. I seem to recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I thought there were several hundred MM1s sold over the years. So it was more so than that. I think the TC9 might have sold 100, 150, and the TC70 probably a little less than that. I don't know how well the System 4s and 5s sold. But it's kind of interesting having this, early history here of the MM1, one of the Coco 4 successors as it was planned on being. And Keith March, who has joined our Discord recently, has pulled out some of his. Now, this is the accelerator board. So the original MM1 had a 68070 Signetics chip, and it was the same one that, what company did the interactive CDs?
Philips.
Yes, thank you. Same chip, and basically it had some graphic stuff built onto it. It was a little slower than the equivalent 68000, so a 15 megahertz 68070, and it's confusing to use that numbering scheme because Motorola, of course, went 68010, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and stopped. So you'd think the 70 would be way faster than 68000. No.
What are those charred-looking things on the board?
I would assume it's a foam block.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like that was where another chip went, and it's just
there's a chip on the backside, and there's
on the backside. Okay,
to keep it from shorting against stuff on this side.
Okay,
gotcha. So anyway, the original 68070 was 15 megahertz. It ran the equivalent of about a 12.5 megahertz 68000. A little bit slow. This is the 68340, which I believe was normally a 32-bit microcontroller. Is that right? You guys that know these Motorola chips well? But it's quite a bit faster because the original 68000 was basically a 16-bit chip for the most part. And this was an actual full 32-bit bus one. So this was an upgrade board, like Frank was talking about some of the Amigas, where you upgrade to 68040s and 60s, or go completely ape and do like vampires and Buffys and stuff. But this was the equivalent of that back in 1993 for the MM1. So this is an actual picture of the actual 68340 board.
I bet you that was a socket back there that plugged into the old CPU socket.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
And this is one of my babies.
You have one of them?
No. Well, that's a picture of my actual machine. But I had sold it. I sold it in the early 2000s for $700.
Oh, wow. So I thought, because we've not visited this page too often on CoCoTALK, because there hasn't been much new content on there for years, I thought it showed, like, for those who've not seen it before or even heard of it, here's what it looked like, the original M1. So it came in a standard PC case. It had high density 3.5-inch drive, 1.44 meg. It had SCSI, used PC keyboards. It actually worked with the CM8 monitor. It did up to 640 by 200 or 240 on pure color modes. And then it also had an interlace mode, similar to the Amiga, where you could double the vertical resolution, but you'd have your hertz refresh. It was only 30 hertz. So basically draw every odd scan line, then every even scan line. So it flickered a little bit, but it was a, 640 by 480 basically, or pretty close to it. And a windowing system and OSK and everything else too. So
when I got this machine, it had a password in order to get into it. And I somebody told me it was written on the back of the machine, and I went and looked, and I didn't think I found it anywhere. And then I went through, I had some documentation, and sure enough, it was written down there. And then it worked, and I was able to get into it.
Yeah, I know David still has his, and the computer itself still functions, but the hard drive controller is dead, or the hard drive itself physically is dead. Okay, next up after that, Jim Gary pointed out this Hackaday project to add a composite video to an MC10, the NTSC version only in this case. That was actually published last week and I missed it. So for those of you that are, the hardware tinkerers and don't want to have to wait for Ed to come up with another batch of the MC10 composite adapter boards that he's got, which if you're a non-solderer like me is definitely the safer route. Here's the schematic and an article on how to build your own. And you can actually get a better quality output on it and actually connect it to slightly more modern TVs that actually handle composite instead of just RF. So thanks, Jim, for pointing that out.
Even if you did have the other one, you still have to solder it in.
Oh, right. Yeah, that isn't one where you can just plug it in, is it?
No, you have to remove stuff.
Right. Oh, well.
Amy and Taylor show you how to install one.
Yeah, they installed one of Ed's, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I have one. It's nice. It's just there's a lot of desoldering and then soldering.
Yeah, because they had to remove the RF can and a bunch of other things too, didn't they?
The RF can for sure.
Yeah. Okay, next up after that, Cafe Sita on Facebook posted this link. I think that's Torsten Diddle. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, from Europe. And this is basically a retro computer show in Germany. And this actually has a Dragon 32 and Dragon 64 that makes an appearance on, because basically they just wander around and show you the table. So I'll play a little bit of the intro here so that you can kind of see the facility and what the general show looks like, and then I'll fast forward to the Dragon. A little smaller than VCF, but not a bad size.
Tall ceilings.
Don't really need the music. And then they do the standard walkthrough. I'll skip forward to the Dragon parts, but there's a ton of stuff. And a lot of the European machines you don't see too often up here in North America. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely go check out the video.
For a period of time, I was interested in seeing what the Russians used to use. And I wondered if the Russians, they kind of cloned everything, Z80s and.
Yeah, they actually imported a few too, I think.
I wonder if they ever did a 6809, but I've never found anything.
I thought I heard.
Did they?
I'm trying to remember. I think wasn't the Thompson sold there for a bit? The French 609?
Probably. Yeah, the French had a lot of relations with the Russians, so very possible.
Yeah, I seem to recall somebody saying that before, though I can't confirm that. All right, here you'll see the Dragon 64 and the Dragon 32. Briefly.
Yeah. It looks like they had an SDC stuck in one because, it had.
There's the SX that What's Magic was talking about earlier that Ron was asking.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Oh yeah.
That's a little Commodore luggable,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which he had at Boat Fest actually, running. And this is a Vectrix style thing. I'm not sure what that is.
No, it's a monitor on its side.
You know, there is a Coco game where you can turn your monitor on the side. I took a picture of it once and I tried it. And it
Oh, I
worked.
think you could turn your the monitor on its side with any game. It just wouldn't look right.
Yeah.
No, well, this game was flipped. So if you turn your monitor on its side, it looked normal.
Well, that game,
There's a Space
was
Invaders transcode that does that.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that game that was running just there before was playing sideways. That's
Got
why
several
the-
people in the chat mentioning that the Spectrum clones were probably the most popular in Russia.
in Russia, yeah.
And this I was going to show David Ladd because it's a hard drive platter open, so you can see it running and watch the head go back and forth. And I thought, that would just get him. I won't say the term I was about to say, but really excite him. But unfortunately, he had drowned.
We got Jason.
Yeah, so I'll have to stand in.
That's
For
right.
the David Ladd simulation.
Jason, the David emulator.
Look at those platters go. Ooh.
And there's the Wang because Ron keeps mentioning it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Boy.
Fortunately, we will not be here all day.
No, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and it looks like we're going to use all of them.
I'm just about done. I've only got a couple stories left. So
Someone's been handing Curtis cups of water through this marathon session.
So we'll be done by
Coffee.
8.
Coffee.
I don't know. We're at 6.5
Yeah.
hours now.
Yeah. He didn't say what time zone.
anyway, if you're ever in Germany, this looks like a pretty fun show to go to. Everything's interactive. You get to actually go touch and try out all the stuff here. They've got lots of educational displays like the hard drives and stuff actually functioning that you can watch how a hard drive actually physically works, and a pretty good variety of machines. So I was pretty impressed with that show. And not as busy as BCF. You can probably walk without running into people. And then we got a couple of Dragon stories to kind of close things out here. John Whitworth of Dragon Plus, he was a guy who's been going through leukemia treatments and has been quite successful. So he's actually started manufacturing stuff in kit form before, or again, I should say, because he kind of stopped everything for a while because he really had to concentrate on his health. And he's had actually volunteers that are helping convert some of the kits into finished products that he can sell. So thanks to all those people again. But he said this is a design I knocked up some time ago, but I had quite a few Ujima Flip 2021s left back then. Just wondering what the appetite would be for these with people to actually buy these again. Like, should he finish making them, basically?
What exactly is it?
It's an internal expansion. Like, basically, if you plug this in, I think it hooks up to the cartridge port from the inside, but basically it gives you the ability to have two cartridges internally in the Dragon case. So it's like a mini multi-pack, a mini MPI inside the case. You can just put in your floppy drive and your sound speech or whatever it is. And your cartridge port is still free. And it doesn't take extra disk space and everything else. So, and I remember some comments on it where it's like, you can fit all that inside of a Dragon case. And apparently there's a lot of room. It's more like a Coco 1 case and a Coco 2 case where they kind of compressed everything. There's not really that much room to fit two carts inside.
So this would be good for if you did a repack.
You don't have to repack. It fits right inside the Dragon case as it is. No repacking necessary. It just
You might have to
really
remove
fits.
the cartridge cases on your carts, but
Yeah, but basically I think I saw some pictures. I don't even know if you have to do that. Like, there's a lot of airspace in the Dragon.
that's right. There's a lot of space in the Dragon, more than in the Coco, at least in the Canos.
Even more than the Coco 1, yeah.
And the fact there was no MPI for the Dragon officially, this would be an alternative.
Yeah, because you could plug in, say, John Whitworth's MSX. Well, actually, that's not a cartridge, is it? But a floppy drive controller and a real-time clock or whatever else you wanted to do, RS-232, if you only had Dragon 32, for example. So he's basically gauging, is it worthwhile him to continue finishing up these boards or getting the kits ready type thing? And he's got several people that said yes. And the last one, this is kind of a joke here. So this is by Darren Brown, and he actually took the girl with the Dragon tattoo and modified it to be an even better movie, The Girl with the Dragon 32. Heart-stopping, edge of the sheer seat thrills from start to finish. And of course, as Ron mentioned, the Queen's logo is there too. So
yeah, that's it.
So anyway, I thought I'd end the news on a bit of a lighthearted note there.
Oh, you did.
And that's it for this week.
We'll be looking for that on Netflix.
Yeah.
And looking and looking.
And looking.
And looking.
Looking.
Well, we only ran out of power how many times in this show?
I don't know, 5, 6.
Oh,
Is that all?
No power. It
Well,
was the internet.
thankfully, Mark's been doing a local recording. Now, unfortunately, it sounds like his internet actually did dive bomb a few times, so he might have some glitches that we didn't see here on Zoom.
Yeah,
But
like
it should
when Zoom disappears and just records my screensaver or my background.
Hey, Mark, how many gigabytes do you gather on one of these shows?
I was about to look actually.
Yeah, Kevin Holloway saying that they had a lot of dropouts and buffering.
No, you need to take a buffering.
So, Mark, your copy will be better than what the stream saw, but it sounds like there's still going to be some glitches in it. Eh?
So last week's was 8 terabyte.
holy hell.
8
It can't
gigabyte.
be that much.
8 gigabytes.
8 gigabytes. This week's will probably be a little more than that.
Yeah.
8 terrible bytes.
So, well, last week's show was 4 hours, 19 minutes. This week we got 6 hours and 28 minutes so far in the record.
So last week was a short show that I missed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was a short
Lighthearted.
So this is kind of like the Dragon or the Cougar Fest we did.
Yeah.
It was the only one longer.
I wonder if Stevie's going to watch this whole thing.
Usually just listens in the car, to be honest, when he's driving.
He's
Doesn't
going to
usually
wonder
watch.
what the heck we did.
It just keeps going on and on.
It's the show that never ends.
So we'll skip the outro part.
Okay.
We'll grant the viewers that little bit. But yeah, I would expect there's going to be a bit of a delay for redoing, like putting one up that actually is not as chopped up as the actual live stream was, because there'll be some editing to do.
Yeah, well, I'll have to see if Stevie wants the backup copy or not.
Yeah.
Edit it down, just cut out the parts where Curtis is.
Why
Yeah,
don't we
just edit
just-
out the news and all that useless crap.
Why don't we just quit when the
Just
when
leave
the-
my Nitrous 9 ads in there. I need those.
You need
Yeah,
those.
he paid for those.
All right, push the button, Frank.